Hey everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Bunker Punks. This is a recently released in early access retro FPS inspired, aka, Doom, Wolfenstein 3D inspired first-person shooter slash roguelite slash roguelite slash roguelike. I put 2 parts roguelite in there, 1 part roguelike, just so everybody can be disappointed in my failure to understand nomenclature here. It's from Ninja Robot Dinosaur. It's $15 USD on Steam, $17 Canadian once it exits its opening week sale. Let me explain what's going on here. It's so faithful to the Doom aesthetic that I actually, until I played it, had just assumed that it didn't have a Y-axis. Like, I assumed that you actually didn't control the cursor. I just assumed you walked towards enemies and pressed the fire button, and through some alchemical programming magic, you would shoot at them like you would in Doom or Wolfenstein 3D. But we're gonna start a new game here. I already have a game in progress, but I don't mind. It is one of those games where beating the entire game looks like it probably takes under 2 hours, so it's meant to be replayed over and over and over. So for right now, keep in mind this is an early access. What you're viewing is subject to change. I'm not sure when it's actually coming out, but it came out on early access last week, March 30th, I believe. So we got 2 different units here that we can start with. Mollipop, 70 HP, 16 movement speed, 5 shields, plus 25% damage with pistols. And we have Dallas Beach, 80 HP, 0 shields, 15 movement speed, and plus 25% damage against shotgun. We're going to start with Molly Poop here. I guess we could have chosen both, maybe? I'm not totally sure. And then we enter into a level that is actually going to work as a pretty good proof of concept. This is a game... I didn't mean to move yet. This is a game where there's multiple layers going on simultaneously here. So I'm going to do my best to explain it. We can actually hang out in this room for a minute and I'll be able to explain what's going on. This portion of the game is exactly what it looks like. A really, faithful recreation of a retro FPS game formula in a roguelike fashion that is, a little dungeon crawly here, if that makes sense. Let's open this up and then I'll talk about the interface. We got a baseball bat. We could roll with a baseball bat instead of a pistol if we want, but we should roll with a pistol because we have a bonus modifier to pistol damage as a result of our character. Right click does nothing. No iron sights. You can jump, which I actually appreciate because it is going to help our locomotion here. You do not have regenerating HP. You have to pick up med kits. You don't have to reload. Again, it is definitely in the same vein as a Doom or a Wolfenstein 3D or a Duke Nukem 3D or something like that. This is not, a roguelite Call of Duty or anything like that. Basically, the floor proceeds as it does in pretty much any roguelite, for this matter. Just crack this open. This is actually a piece of equipment. We picked up demolition gloves. I'll talk about equipment a little bit more later. Our goal is to basically enter every room, kill every enemy inside of every room, and then after killing them, loot them, and then use that loot to make our life better. There is the roguelite-ish sort of upgrading your character as time goes on, but that all takes place in equipment form. It doesn't actually take place like Gungeon does in weapon uploads or upgrades, and it doesn't take place like Isaac does in the same sense that you would level up your HP or level up your movement speed directly or something like that. I had not seen this door here. Admittedly, these floors can be really quick if you want them to be really quick. So this is tech, we'll talk about that later. These are credits, we'll talk about those later as well, but basically they are an in-game form of currency that we can use in order to do the base building aspects of the game, which is kind of the other layer that happens here, after the FPS layer. That's a rocket launcher. Even though we get bonus pistol damage, who doesn't love using a rocket launcher in a game like this? Immediately when I started playing this, I was struck by how faithfully, I should say, dumb damage, how faithfully it kind of aped that aesthetic that it was going for while keeping like a modern touch on it. Like, it's got nice particle effects and stuff like that. It runs really smoothly, and it just looks like really, really good while also being true to that style, which was kind of surprising for me to start with, because I was just like, I guess I kind of wrote it off when I saw that it looked so much like Doom. I was like, okay, this is gonna be eldritch for FPSs, but that is not what's taking place here. It's actually like a really, really fast-paced Twitch shooter with that kind of Doom aesthetic. Not that Doom is not a Twitch shooter. To be honest, I'm a little out of my element talking about that stuff because I've not played Doom since like a shareware floppy disk in like 1994 or something like that. But anyway, unlike something like Enter the Gungeon or Isaac, you don't really... The structure of the actual progression of the game is different, if that makes sense. These are ammo drops that just dictate the amount of ammo we get from each one. Each building is kind of its own self-contained dungeon. And after we finish a floor, we go down to the next floor. After we finish the entire building, we take all our resources, go back to our base, and upgrade our base, which will also allow us to upgrade our character and the amount of weapons we can hold and stuff like that. Change our equipment loadout for the next time we go out on a mission. Oh, he actually did get me there, which is kind of embarrassing. Then, our goal is actually to beat the boss, or, you know, kill the boss area. But in order to kill the boss area, we actually have to beat, you know, maybe 7 or 8 dungeons en route to it. These guys are kind of like, I wouldn't even call them mini-bosses, they're just like tougher versions of mobs. But as you can see, this floor is really quick. I'm not sure if there's common elements to every single floor, like if there's some kind of shop on every single floor or something like that. I don't believe that that's the case. You can also shoot these crates and get stuff out of them occasionally. Like here, we're getting credits, which could actually be useful for us. So let's take some time to explore a little bit before we leave. We may run out of ammo in the process, but then we have other guns that we can pick up to get more ammo anyway, unless they've disappeared, which they have not. Pick this up. You'll understand it a little bit more when we go back to base. So you know what? Let's go back to base here.
That's a wrap.
And that's a wrap. We'll return to HQ. And this is where the other layer of the game comes in, which is sort of base building. We are the bunker punks, and the story of what the bunker punks are is basically that we're anti-government guerrillas. G-U-E-R-I-L-L-A-S, of course. Gorillas is how I say it. But we're trying to overthrow the government, or at least usurp them or undermine them at every possible turn. So we're raiding their facilities, stealing their tech, stealing their credits, and then coming back and making our guerrilla operation a little bit more advanced. So we can start by getting like a firing range. When you build it, it costs 50 credits. It allows you to carry 2 weapons, which is really useful. So you can have like one weapon that does explosive damage, and then when enemies get close to you, hit them with a baseball bat or something. It also improves damage with firearms. So if we build that, then we could say, okay, you know what? Increases damage with pistols and handguns. Let's build one of those. We could also come over here and build an infirmary. Just by building it, we improve healing, which heals 5 health between floors, or there's... I'm guessing this gives a bonus to medkits, and then also every single floor we heal 5 health. Can be useful. Then in our infirmary, we could build a module that, for example, punks heal when they do combo attacks. So every single time we do a combo attack, which is hitting multiple enemies at the same time, or killing multiple enemies with a single shot, we'll gain a little HP, which can be a useful way to regen HP for sure. And we'll also build... the max health upgrade, which we could upgrade 1 more level in, and we don't have anything else. That's what we use our tech for. Let's get extra damage with rifles, extra damage with shotguns. There you go. Did I not build Bullseye? Did I just... No, I built it. Okay. So now we've got basically a flat bonus to all that stuff. We use our tech after we lose a run, so there's kind of some weird encapsulation happening here. Not weird, but difficult to explain the first time. You have the innermost layer of the game, which is kill all the enemies in a room to open the doors and then eventually get to the exit. Get to the floor, exit. Get to the building, exit. Come back to your base. If you ever die, you go 1 level above that, and then you use your tech, you spend your tech that you've gained throughout your missions, upgrading your technology and giving you more abilities and more capacity for other equipment and stuff like that when you go back into a campaign, which is what we are in right now. So let's go out and raid an enemy here, or an enemy building. As you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 bunkers, or 12 buildings that we can go to here, and they get increasingly difficult, both in terms of the types of rooms that you're going to encounter. Like our first one was like medical or something. This one is R&D logistics, medical and R&D. If you go all the way to the end here, you can see that we get to 5 floors, 3 floors, 4 floors, 5 floors, and it changes the loot that you're going to get on every individual floor, the loot that you're likely to get, and it also changes the enemies that you're going to come across, which is kind of cool. I will say these early complexes seem super easy, almost to the point of being a little boring, because it doesn't start difficult. It's almost impossible to die on these early ones. But I have died. Not on those, but once we get up to like the 3-floor ones, enemies start to get a lot tougher, a lot faster. It doesn't take too long for the difficulty curve to kick in, and I've never actually made it to the exit. But tell you what, let's do an R&D and logistics one here. And you can see our bonuses that we've got here. This is due to our equipment. So like skate helmet buffs our melee ability. Demolition gloves give us armor and shotgun ability. Probably start with a pistol instead because we get bonus damage there. Hold up. Put the gloves on. We don't have any other equipment. Okay, we can start our run. So equipment that you get and take back to base, you can then use as kind of a loadout in the future. This is something that I sort of consider almost a negative of the game, from the perspective of playing a lot of other roguelites and loot-based games in general, you don't really level up your character, and to the best of my knowledge, at least in my experience so far, you don't pick up like a legendary gun or an epic gun. You know, you don't come across a pistol that's even like superior pistol, you know, plus 8 damage relative to a normal pistol or something like that, or plus percentage damage relative to a normal pistol. Basically, it's a little bit more simple than that. You probably are going to want to pick up items that spec you into one or a couple kinds of damage. Like right now, we're doing double damage, or plus 50% damage, I should say, with pistols. We absolutely would want to take a pistol as our starting weapon then. It also has a lot of ammo, but the fact that it's going to be doing 1.5 times its normal damage is really good. But I kind of wish that occasionally you'd be pushed in a different direction. Like, you'd be like, okay, I have equipment that makes me really good with pistols, but I just picked up a shotgun that does, like, you know, it has a 80% critical chance or something like that. I don't think crit is actually an axis that the game uses. We could have taken that rocket launcher in our second spot, now that I think about it, but whatever. I mean, you'll see that our damage is going to be pretty good relative to what it could be. These guys can explode if they get too close to you, so I just wanted to be careful there. And we got a nice combo. This gives us better damage with shotguns, worse damage with melee, and less armor, so I'm going to ignore it for now. And that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that I wish that equipment got strictly better as you went through the game, but maybe I'm ignorant of kind of the design that the game is going for there. I will accept that I think it is a design decision. And I'm kind of used to this Gungeon style of we should always be improving every single floor. Instead, you know, it seems to be like you try to find the items that match the ideal loadout that you're trying to get. Oh, I missed those credits back there. But if you don't have them, then you're gonna feel like your run is suboptimal. But I don't really feel that way if I'm being honest about it. So I do kind of wish that there was some extra loot that maybe factored in it. Oh my god, almost got shot there. Definitely should not be just blowing yourself up room to room is my guess. Probably not good to make a habit of it. HP is good though, because we healed ourselves with combo abilities.
Made it.
Head down to the next floor. I also, as of yet, have not really felt that there's a punishment for rushing from floor to floor. In fact, like, in many ways, I feel like it's kind of been... Yeah, nice shot. I feel like it's kind of been incentivized because you're going to take less damage the faster you move from floor to floor. That being said, I may be missing out on some secret rooms or something like that. These games do kind of have a hallmark of having stuff like that going on that doesn't necessarily make itself apparent right off the bat. Also, when I say all this, please keep it in context, or keep it in the context, rather, of this being in early access. And the roguelite formula, one of the reasons I like it so much, and I think it actually works really well for early access games, is because it's pretty easy to iterate on. You know, it's pretty easy to add new equipment, it's pretty easy to add new items and stuff like that. And even new mechanics as well. And, you know, that's why the Binding of Isaac has been going on for like 4 goddamn years right now and still maintains a lot of its freshness in spite of its age. So it's not like this is designed in such a way that it is incompatible with the feedback I'm giving, I should say. And it's also, I don't even know if they're going to take the feedback, you know, they'll take it with a grain of salt at least. I'm not a game designer to begin with. What I will say is that mechanically, I think the game actually, like the moment-to-moment gunplay stuff feels as good as I've ever felt it in a first-person roguelite. And that's saying a lot, because, you know, Paranautical Activity has some controversy associated with it, but I thought the game played really well. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. Tower of Guns had a really cool thing going on with kind of its puzzle design. I think this is more, and like the room layouts were really cool as well. This has kind of like a more, I'm just gonna go for a greater pistol upgrade there. This has kind of like a more pure mechanics feel to it, which I actually appreciate. It's not really minimalistic, but it's kind of easy to wrap your head around. And the actual gunplay is really fun. And normally, I'll admit, when I see this aesthetic, there's another game called Rogue Shooter that had a very similar aesthetic to this. And when I see it, it's not always something that tickles my fancy right away. Okay, what does this give us? Extra damage with assault rifles, extra damage with shotguns. I like what we've got on right now because it gives us extra damage with explosives, which we are occasionally using. The classic kind of visual style, paired with the fact that it has great particle effects and also runs really, really smoothly, is really nice. It's actually a surprisingly and deceptively good-looking game. I guess we might as well go for more pistol damage. And it looks a lot better in motion than it does statically. Like, it's a game that I think visually you can only really appreciate once you've had the opportunity to play it for yourself. And the fact that it runs so smoothly is, of course, like, extremely important, given that it is a twitch shooter and your reflexes are part and parcel with your chances to succeed. I like the fast-paced nature of it. Like, I really liked Wasted, the game that I did the preview of, like, in January. But that is a little bit more of, like, a story-focused kind of, like, Fallout vibe to it, almost. Thank you for the med kit. This is much more of, like, a pure mechanics-focused game, it seems. And, to be honest with you, I really appreciate that. Now, does that mean that I think Bunker Punks is worth $15 in its current state? I give that a big maybe. And the maybe is, I kind of fall in line with a lot of the Steam reviews I've seen for it so far, which is thumbs up. I just want to see what this looks like, equipment-wise. Now, I think, better armor, better melee, better explosives is good for now. It's a thumbs up, but a thumbs up that is like, I like it, I have feedback, it's still early, and it's still, like, extraordinarily playable in its early state. Thought maybe there was something in here. But there are things that I would like it to change, or the things that I would like it to improve upon. I don't know, I still like our demolition gloves. I do feel like basically with the loadout that I have right now, I'm kind of like, why would I be excited about loot? Like, whenever I come across, I mean, you're seeing it, I come across a chest and I'm like, I don't want anything to do with this jacket right now. I already got a jacket I like. Don't give me any more jackets. Like, the things I'm most excited about are ammo and med kits at this point, which I think can be something that could hamper the longevity of the GURM. The longevity of the GURM. It could hamper the longevity of the game long term, is what I meant to say. Because, you know, to some extent, I value that Skinner box of every item room in Isaac being valuable, and oh god, this is not good. Yeah, I value that Skinner box of every item room in Isaac possibly having something valuable, or possibly just having pure trash. And in this, I'm more like, every chest is kind of like, if you don't have HP, past a certain point at least, if you don't have HP, well, what have you done for me lately, right? Like, it's just not what I'm looking for. I still, like, meticulously, compulsively mash R after, like, every little bit of I just did it right there. Every little bit of combat I do, I still hit R to try to reload. It's a surprisingly tough habit to break. 48 HP. It's not horrible. These enemies are annoying, though. Using explosives usually makes it a little easier to get combos. Yeah, 2-hit combo. Healing for 2 is something, man. It's valuable. I think that's my biggest gripe right now, is that compared to other roguelites, it doesn't have nearly as much of a focus on the actual, like, equipment and items that you pick up, just because there's not many of them. Like, you got your pistol jacket, you got your shotgun jacket, you got your, you know, rocket launcher jacket, you got your armor jacket, and that's about it. There's no jacket that reflects damage back on enemies or something like that. And I don't know if that will ever exist in the game, but I think I would like it if it did.
I'll take that.
Wait, this is actually worse for pistols? Yeah, it's worse for pistols. But I also think it's got a lot of good things going for it with the actual, it's not really a base builder, but with kind of like the base upgrade things that are going on. It kind of separates the axes of improvement, if that makes sense. Like in Isaac or Gungeon, you have your character, you have your items that may or may not be related to the character, like active items and passive items. In this, it's more like you kind of have that separated. Like, you have the mechanical layer of the game, which is what I'm playing right now, but then you also have the kind of parameter-based and attribute-based, equipment-based stuff that comes out of this afterwards, the base-building aspect, for lack of a better word. I like that it kind of separates those axes. It's a novel touch, instead of just being a self-contained dungeon. Rogue Legacy kind of did that as well with the town. I guess Darkest Dungeon kind of does that as well with the town that, you know, you're surrounded by. But if nothing else, I should say, it just makes it clear that, you know, this is a game where it's more than meets the eye. When you first look at a screenshot, I think it's really easy to,
Got it.
oh, I didn't even mean to pick this up. It's really easy to kind of write this off and just be like, oh, it's a retro-inspired shooter. I'm not really interested in that. It actually is quite a good deal. more than that, but I think it can be even more than it already is. And I think that's, you know, I don't know this for sure, but I'm imagining that's probably why it's in early access, because to use the M word again, mechanically it plays like completely fine right now. I imagine the reason it's in early access is kind of to get feedback and then, you know, make changes based on that feedback. Well, here's my feedback. I think the game's really good right now, but the things that I mentioned earlier, I think, particularly adding a little bit more consequence and weight to the actual item drops and equipment drops, a little bit of extra uniqueness there, and like a 1 in 30 chance that it's something you've never seen before, and you go, oh shit, I want to tell my friends, I just picked up the jacket of, you know, ice, and every time I shoot a pistol bullet, it has like a 3% chance to freeze an enemy in place, or so, you know, stuff like that, which is not even arbitrary. It does have, you know, bearing on what actually happens in the game as well, but I think that would go a long way towards kind of increasing the long tail ask of this right now, if that makes sense. But I think that's gonna do it for my Let's Look At of Bunker Punks for now. It's good in its current state, and it's a great shell, I think, for imagining what could come later, if that makes sense. Does this stack up to released early access games in a similar vein? Is this as good to go as Enter the Gungeon? No. Is this as good to go as Nuclear Throne? No. However, early access version 0.115.6. Probably a little ways to go until this actually comes out, and I think they've got a great formula here, a harness, if you will, that can be iterated upon and hopefully improved and maybe improve kind of like the ask, if that makes sense, or the selling points, particularly of the looting. And I think that this could actually be a really, really interesting game. If anything else, it really surprised me when I started playing it, and I saw that it had a Y-axis. That just blew me away, and I've had a pretty good time with my, or pretty good experience with my time with the game so far. For most people, I'd say that you're probably not going to be looking to pick it up for $15 right now in its current state, but it's not difficult to imagine that when it comes out, it'll be a value proposition that's a little bit more tenable for sure. For now, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. It helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. And again, there will be a link in the video description below to pick up the game on Steam if you're interested. For the third time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.